money will only motivate you so much. And then after that, it's like, why?
Nerds.
Welcome to another episode of the Uncapped Network. Today, we are blessed to have Sammy Castillo, a seasoned financial and insurance advisor with 14 years of experience. He is also a real estate investor and a leader within the community. He has inspired many people throughout his journey, including myself. So thank you so much, brother, for coming on the podcast.
Of course, Ricardo. Jordan, awesome to be here.
How's your day going so far?
Good, man. Good. We were in Windsor. We just got back from Windsor. We were at an event there, Wealth Genius, and long weekend. But man, you just get energy coming and hanging out with you boys, man. So I'm excited to be here.
Kind of like disappointing what happened, I guess, late at the end there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
let's not start on a negative note though. But no, Sammy. I want to firstly start into like, how did you get into insurance? Like, why insurance out of all things?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Why insurance? I always get that question. I'm just like, man, no one ever dreams about being insurance, man. It's like boring. Like, like it's one of those things you just fall into, really. And I did. So like how that whole story happened. My brother-in-law, he was working in insurance. I was in school for marketing, research, and development.
Okay.
So I actually got a summer position at Cooperators for research and development. Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's how it all started. And then like I was so terrible at that job. Like like I'm working with computers. I'm not a computer guy at all. Like technology and me, it's just like ended up getting going back to school and then switched to insurance. And then when I switched to insurance, there was a job fair. Applied for the job, and Lisa's her name. Shout out, Lisa. Love you. She gave me a shot, man, and then I never looked back. I really just jumped into it with 2 feet. Failed the test a couple times. You know what I mean? Like like success didn't come right away, and really just enjoyed it. I enjoy it now. I like, it's crazy because I can talk for hours about insurance. Yeah. It's like, and then I get people excited about insurance. Yeah. It's like, yo, I'm going to buy insurance for no reason, man. Yeah. Like it's one of those things, man. I really, you just fall into it. Just like any career, man. Like, I don't think too many people like, to go into like, you probably never knew what a podcast was when you guys were younger, right? Like, or maybe you guys are that young. You guys probably did podcasts. They were starting at that time, but I just fell into it, man.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Was there another dream job that you had?
You know what? I always wanted to be like kind of like a Tony Robbins, like self-development, how people grow with their personal growth. And just better themselves. So yeah, like if my like, but when I first, like when I was a little kid, I wanted to be like a pastor. Like I went to at the front of the church with my Bible, man, just like, but I always had like I just wanted to serve and just inspire people. So, I guess I do that now. It's starting like to kind of like shine through as I'm getting older. Mostly because I think you get to the point where just like, okay, I have the experience a little bit more, and to see like the young kids, like lately it's been amazing, like getting as many young people under my wing as much as I can, right? Like so I always wanted to be like a Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, that type of character that inspires people just to have a better life. And so that's probably what like either like pastors kind of do that, right? Like like pastors are kind of like a spiritual teacher for their for their church. So I always like looked up to my dad when he was like talking about the Bible and all that kind of stuff. So just showing people the way to live and all that. So I always wanted to be like some type of leader in the community, something like that.
That's the one thing I think that like my father blessed me with too, is just like educating me about like the Bible and like religion. You know what I mean? Like it's something you take for granted when you're young. At least like, well, you sound like you were on board from the beginning, but like a lot of people like they take for granted until they need to be like go back to the roots. You know what I mean? So that's special.
You know what, man? Like I would say like when I was but then you go through those tribulations when you're a teenager, and you do forget, right? But I think, that basis, like for me, and I'm glad to hear for you guys as well, that you have that basis to know that there's something there that will always be with you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of comforting, not that you always want to fall back on that, but like, yeah, like that's definitely important
Yeah.
to instill.
Was there ever a moment in your life where you like, I guess, fell out of it and then had to be brought back? Like,
Yeah, I think I think yeah, for sure. Like there's probably in college, there's certain times where it wasn't even on my radar, or but my parents are always like, my mom's like, Señor, por favor,
oh
like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
you know what I mean? So yeah, but I always had prayers over me, like, and either you believe in it or not. I choose to believe in it, that there is something to do, like there is something there, with prayers. And but like, every time I see my parents, you just get that, like,
Oh yeah,
the extra, like,
yeah.
bless him.
It's something about the
Yeah.
Salvadorian moms, bro. Because
Right?
I literally like got a text this morning. It's Sunday, right? So Sunday morning, a Facebook like message of like a priest just like talking about a point, and like
Yeah.
every once in a while she'll send me like these parables and this and that. Like,
That's beautiful.
I love it. I love it, right?
Yeah, man. It's like, sometimes it's overbearing,
Yeah.
right? Like you're just like, like whatever. But you always feel good because you have that love, man.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't know if it's extra with Spanish moms, but they just have a lot of love to give,
Yeah.
right? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're lucky, man. Like, and sometimes, like, growing up, you're just like, your mom wouldn't leave you alone, or like, it's probably because she's trying to, like, just protect you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'd never, like, I'd want to raise my kids like that too,
Yeah.
right?
So obviously, like family is a huge like role in your life. Like that's super important to you.
Yeah, I mean, like family's everything, man. Like, I think, like, there at certain points in your life, again, you kind of forget, right? You forget how important family is because you're so focused on yourself. There's time to be selfish, right? Like, but you got to remember that, like, you should have a tight knit family. And coming from like a Latino, family, like we do, or we came from, like that's usually a part of our core values, right? Like,
Yeah.
you pick up your brother when he's hurting, right? Like, so that's definitely, something that, for the most part, we've always, like, my family's really special, man. Like,
Mhm.
my sisters, my brothers, I got two brothers, David and Ras,
Mhm.
and I have, an older sister, Martha. And my brother has three kids. My sister has two kids. So I got some, nephews and nieces. And yeah, that definitely gives you purpose in life, right? So I always like say this. I always go, um, money will only motivate you so much,
Yeah.
right? And then after that, it's like, why, right? Like, you're talking to Alfonso today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alfonso. It's like, what's your why? He put up his daughter, right? Like, this is the reason why I changed my life. He had his daughter when he was 17,
Oh wow.
right? And he found his why, right? This is why I should change my life. And sometimes money isn't enough to change your ways, right? And to look at, like, really deep as to why you're making changes in your life. Why are you getting up at 5 in the morning to do work, right? Or
Yeah.
or to stay in shape, like, why, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think you're like, for me anyways, I wasn't enough to do all these things, right? Like, for me, it's like, I want to find some young guy or young lady that I can help guide, so they don't do the same mistakes. Like,
Yeah.
it just gives me more inspiration, right? So yeah, family is huge though.
Yeah.
Like,
And like it's okay, like kind of to take it off that topic in a way, like it's one thing to go into an insurance company and start working there, and then it's one thing to like buy the franchise and be the owner of the place.
yeah.
Like, what like take us through that journey. Like what made you feel and made you believe that you could do that?
Yeah, so pretty much, like, so how like my setup works anyways is that you go through, it's not like it's handed to you. You have to, for one, get your licenses and have certain experience, and then they make sure that, like, that you're able to handle staff, handle the finances, handle, and all at the same time produce right?
Yeah.
So it took some time, right? So for me, I started pretty young. I started when I was 20, 21 years old.
Okay.
But before then, I had some businesses, so I had like business experience.
Yep.
So yeah, so I pretty much started at 21. I think by 26, 27, I was looking at ownership, but it like looking at a shot to own up my own agency. So it was like you got to learn your products and achieve your goals, and there's different levels to what you can achieve. And so like I always say, like when I first started, it was a lot of hard work.
Yep.
And it was like just like everybody else, man. When you first start doing something, it's tough, right? Like, for me, I was like, oh, please talk to me about insurance to anybody. I was like, please, like, you know what I mean? Like auto insurance, I'll do travel, I'll do any insurance. Yeah, I think as get a little stronger in your skills, you start to be able to attract a certain clientele. And in the last 3-4 years, I've been dealing with a lot of more corporations, people that need advice, like financial based advice. But when you first start, it's like hard work. And then again, like you got to make sure that you're keeping your goals. um you got That's where the why is so important,
Mhm.
because after you get them, like you make a certain level of income, you start to see like why aren't you happy, right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you're doing things to fill your cup.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like it was like 6-7 years of just straight hustling.
And was that
working
always
hard.
the goal? Like when you got in?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
was like, when I was in, I knew research and development, like marketing wasn't for me. I knew sales and like just dealing with clients. I knew that was always going to be my thing. So I knew 100%. If it wasn't going to be an ownership there, it was going to be an ownership in something,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm definitely that guy that wants to, grow something from the bottom up. And yeah, so I always knew I was going to like own something.
Was there like a guideline or like a plan to how to get there that someone showed you, like a mentor or anything?
Yeah. Like, well, that's a huge part of this whole program. So, just for the audience, like we just joined Wealth Genius, Ricardo, and I just joined Wealth Genius, and uh, like mentors are so important. Like I had a mentor. Not only do I, and I still do have mentors, but I had mentors as well through like YouTube and like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, and these guys. Those guys can be your mentors too, right? But I had a mentor. His name. Uh, he passed away. His name was Larry. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he pretty much took the time, invested the time in me, and he like he showed me how to do like these finances and learn how to break down businesses and break down these policies. And it was pretty amazing to have a mentor to kind of help you and like invest the time, right? But mentors are just like 100%. If you don't have a mentor, find one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are willing to take the time to kind of guide you through it, because they it fills their cup, right? Because money is probably not filling their cup as much anymore.
Yep.
And taking someone that that they see like bright-eyed investors, young guys that just wanted to help their friends, help their family, and it's exciting. So yeah, definitely mentors play a big part. And the faster you find a mentor, the quicker you're going to be able to get to A to B.
100%.
And where does that entrepreneurship come from? Like in you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you said previously, you owned a couple businesses before. You always wanted to be the owner. Like, where does that come from? Does anyone in your family own businesses? Or
Man, I honestly, I was like, I know people say they're born with it. Like I was like, I remember one time I like cut my neighbor, like I was probably 6 years old. I cut my neighbor's like flowers, and then I sold the flowers door to door. And he like chased me, and like I like ran. I was like, and like he was like yelling at my mom because I cut all his front flowers. Like
All his work.
yeah. And I was like selling it for like $1 door to door.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so like I was always like that kid. So I think for me it was something about like just talking to a stranger, connecting with that stranger, and finding a way to match their needs, right? Like it was always like, I don't know. I think like maybe I was born with it. Maybe I seen it on TV somewhere. I don't know. but I always had that, like, it's probably my mom. My mom was really like, she's always like, oh, we could sell this. Like, she'll like buy,
Yeah.
like, go to Payless and buy like 50 pairs of shoes for the dog,
Yeah.
like the worst shoes ever. And like, but she's like, I can sell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She never sold them. She always,
Still have
she always
them all.
had them in the basement and stuff. But she always had that spirit, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like, how can we make a business out of this, right? My dad as well. Like, they own a business back in the day as well. And but yeah, I don't know where the whole thing came from, but it must have been my parents, and maybe I seen it on TV when I was super young.
Mhm.
But the song spirit, like cutting my nail, like I remember it like vividly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he was chasing me. I had like you remember those banana? You guys are too young for this, but back in the day, I had like banana seat bikes.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
I used
I've
to,
seen
yeah.
those.
So you and your you could have like 3 people on that bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I remember I remember cutting it. I was like, yeah, don't do this at home. But like, yeah, like the neighbors won't like you.
Yeah.
But yeah, door to door sales with the flowers, man. So that was like 6 years old.
Yeah. So that's a young age, bro.
Yeah,
that's stuff.
hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool, man.
Even to have noticed, you do a lot of like stuff with your brother. Like, how important is to grow that relationship with him and like push him and like succeed with him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's everything for me. Like for me, like again, it's each one teach one, right? Like, and it's nothing more special than seeing your little brother, grow as a man, right? Like, because we have a pretty big age gap. So I'm 35.
Okay.
Like I just turned 35, which is crazy. And my brother's 28 or 29. Okay, I forget which one, but he's born 95. So
He's already so 28, turning 20.
Yeah, you guys are 28. You guys are getting old. boys.
We're catching up. Finally.
Yeah, you guys are getting old, man. So, yeah, so there's that age gap. So I think like for me, I was like always, like I went through it, and I think it's kind of it. I don't know if he looked up to me, but I kind of was like, when you see your little brother look up to you, it just gives you like another reason, right? Like you're just like, man, I gotta be better, right? So yeah, it means the world to me to have him around. Like right now, we're not under the same umbrella right now, but we were. Right now, he's getting his shot for his own ownership.
Well, sweet.
So he's going through that route.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty amazing to see, from him growing from a little boy to a man.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's still a little boy, and I still gotta put him in.
Still got an older brother, him, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I do. I try not to, but it's hard not to. And when he's been my little bro for the whole time, but. It to me, I mean, I have little bros. Like you're my little bro, like you know what I mean. I have little bros everywhere, right? And it's each one teach one. I had people that cared for me when I was a kid, and took me to the mall, bought me pop or whatever candy, like those boys in like the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it always felt good, like when I got treated like that. Be like it feels good when someone like little bros you too, right? Like not in a bad way, but has genuine care for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, bro, like maybe gives you advice about basketball or whatever. That was a big thing when I grew up as like sports, right? But yeah, like I think not only my little brother, but my little bros too, like you guys, right? Like I feel like I have a duty, just like I got take care of the next generation.
And I appreciate that, bro, because I remember the first time I actually met you or saw you was at an IDU. Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike, man. But like it was at an IDU, and then you said you were from El Salvador.
Yeah.
And like being a Salvadorian and knowing the history of our country, right?
Yeah.
Like it gave me goosebumps hearing you speak, and you're such a successful man. But seeing you for some reason, just was like, okay, like I can do this too. And then we just talked about like Alfonso as well, a Salvadorian as well, crushing it. Like, it's inspiring, bro. And like,
so
it's
inspiring, so inspiring,
especially coming from where we come from.
Yeah. Well, it's giving me goosebumps right now. Like even hearing Alfonso's, like if you guys don't know his story, like look it up or come to an event with us because coming from where we came from, right? And getting thrown into this whole country as immigrants. So my story, how my story came down was my parents flew from El Salvador during the war. War breaks out. My mom's pregnant
Mhm.
with my sister. And then just like, well, we got to get out of here, right? So he got a flight to New York, and my sister was born in New Jersey.
Yep.
So then a couple years later, they moved to Quebec, right? So
Oh.
I was born in Quebec. Me and my older brother born in Quebec.
Oh,
Shout
okay.
out Quebec, Montreal, Saint Constant is where I was born. And so like imagine that, right? Like you uproot your life, you go to English speaking New York, which is at that time hustling, bustling, pretty dangerous.
Mhm.
Like there's stories about my mom. My mom got robbed at a subway. Like New York at that time in the 80s was like
Yeah.
it was trouble, right? So just imagine that, right? Like they go from having a family and all the support to all of a sudden you're in a whole different country. And New York at that time was extremely
And like you're like my mom would tell me too when she came to the country, like you're ordering food with your hands, like you don't even know how to like order eggs.
language
You know what I
barrier.
mean? Like it's just like the sacrifice that they did. But continue your story. Though.
Yeah, no, but like we connect. We're like amazing stories, right? Like, but the sacrifice, right? Like, so then they moved to Quebec, Montreal, and they started a business. So they were like starting to grow their business, and they had someone from the church that they teamed up with, and they stole all the money, and then they took off.
Oh.
Yeah, man. So they like the business was doing great, and then a bad partner, and then all of a sudden we're moving from selling our brand new home. I don't know. My parents were like, they don't really like talking about this, but it's important, like that I'm honest with everything. But so then we moved to Hamilton, right? So we moved to Hamilton, and that's where David was born in '95.
Mhm.
I remember that day. Yeah, yeah, worst day ever, man.
Who's this new guy?
Yeah. Stole my sunshine,
Right?
stole my shine.
It's funny. You're no longer the baby of the family. It's this guy.
Yeah. I was supposed to be like, no,
That's so funny.
no. For me, it was an amazing day. I loved it. But yeah, so then we like we had to leave. So imagine my parents, right? Like going through that whole. And I think a lot of our stories are going to be very similar.
Yep.
And that's why, like, like I'm so excited to see Latinos and not only Latinos, man. Like we have Amar, we have Justin, like all these guys coming up. It's like it's such an amazing thing. But there's definitely a special connection between us, like
Yeah,
Latinos, like for sure. That we can help each other. But yeah, then we came to Hamilton, and then I grew up in Stony Creek.
Yeah.
I went to Saltfleet, and played basketball and enjoyed it. And then I moved out here for school because I own a company. There's so many stories, but I own a company. And it didn't. We started off doing well.
What type of
did
company
you
was it?
So it was like selling water heaters.
Really?
Oh.
And ACs and furnaces and stuff like that. Yeah. So we would like add a door-to-door team.
Yeah.
Just bugging everybody door-to-door. And I had like 20 some people working.
How'd you stumble upon that? Like,
Man, so I was working at door-to-door job.
Yep.
Because back in the day, you'd have classifieds. So you wouldn't go to Indeed to get a job. You'd go to a classified newspaper.
Yep.
And the one newspaper was like $20 an hour or $17 an hour. And at that time, minimum wage was like $7.50, $6, something like that. So I was like, damn, I'm like perfect sales door to door. And it turned out to be like not that. Like it was like locking in your energy bills. And so like you don't have like the variable rate on your water bills and stuff.
yeah.
And like that was a terrible job too. Like I remember like knocking on people's door at like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like this is terrible. And I still have a check. Like I remember like working like for 3 weeks, and they gave me a check for like 49 cents. That's all I got paid for like 3 weeks of work.
What?
And then for the longest time, I was just like hanging up, like right where I got dressed. Like I was just like staring at it, so angry because because like, when you go through these different jobs and you don't get paid what you're worth,
Yeah.
finally, when you get a job that pays you for what you're worth and what you sell and all, like, you're just like, oh my God, you're in heaven, right?
Yeah.
And that's what cooperators did to me. Like, it gave me an opportunity to not to be in a company that's actually going to pay you for, the work that you do,
Yeah.
right? So I was so excited about that. I was like, oh my God, I can work hard and actually get paid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so that was a huge thing that I was like, I know I can sell. I know I can help people, but like aligning your like yourself with a company that, do your homework with the companies that you're going with, man. Because like, don't get taken advantage of, man.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
come talk to your elders and your family and all that, because it would have saved me a little bit of time, but definitely learning experiences, right?
Yeah.
It's such an important skill to know sales and
Yeah.
negotiation. You know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
something
my God.
like I wish I learned earlier. You know, I wish I was part of like a financial literacy course or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, because like not trying to always dwell back on like the Salvadorian stuff, but like my parents came here as refugees and then they don't like you don't understand financial literacy. Like you need
Yeah.
so much, you get into debt, and then that's all you know. Like I didn't even know how to use a credit card, bro, like until like second year university. I didn't even know what a stock was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like that lingo was never like part of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's incredible to just like see that we're catching up in the sense of like understanding all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Understanding the most important things, if anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think the difficult part was like they didn't know. So how are they supposed to teach us?
Yeah,
They
it's not
don't
their
know,
fault.
Right? It's not
No,
their
yeah.
fault. It's just a lack of like just
Yeah.
experiences and knowledge, right? And as we kind of grow and like we've learned this now, like it goes back to kind of what you were saying, like teach one, like each one teach one. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's now our job to share with everybody else our knowledge that we've gotten.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, man, because when you see you see your parents struggling and stuff, and you're just like, they did it for us.
Yeah.
They didn't have to be here. You know what I mean? They could
Yeah.
have stayed at home, and my dad would have been good back home. Like,
Yeah.
but definitely it is important that, and I think that's something we can do, boys. Like, we like I said, this is just the beginning for you guys. There's a responsibility with knowledge, and you have to hand it off, right? Like hand it off to the next person, so that they can, it's a ripple effect, right? So we can have a good community where people, have a way out, right? Because some people don't see a way out, and then they get involved in certain things, and then they regret it. There's definitely some responsibility there, but you can't, like the parents thing, man. It's like it's super hard, man, because like they struggled, man.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, right? Most of us struggled, right? So you know it's one of those things that we're like, maybe we could start a community group, right, where we could do, I know that Alfonso does it. He's got like, I forget what it's called, but it's teaching young kids financial literacy, right?
Yeah.
And it can be something as simple as knowing what compound interest is, how do credit
Yeah.
cards work, right?
Yeah.
It'd be pretty easy to put something together, right? So
Yeah.
definitely that's on the radar for me. I don't know if I'll just hop onto Alfonso's, or we can make our own here in London.
Yeah.
Probably start doing our own thing in London here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just it's definitely important. But yeah, like our parents, how the heck were they supposed to know that? Right?
Yeah. No,
It's
100%.
like, man, imagine having to learn English, right? Yeah, like damn, like my parents had to learn English and then French,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
then, and then English again.
True.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, man, I definitely give it up to them.
Yeah.
They deserve all the love ever, like, that I can give them.
Yeah. And like throughout your journey, you know what I mean? Like then you get to a point where, you own a franchise.
Yeah.
You get to a point where like you see success.
Mhm.
Was there ever a moment where you're like, okay, I made it?
I honestly don't feel that way yet. I think, you know, when I think, like, when you start making, let's say, like, I don't know if there's a number for it, but let's say 100K, right? I think at that point, forever, that was kind of like the number where you feel pretty good about yourself.
Yeah.
Right. But and then you just, you start spending more. So 100K is not enough. And then 200K, like what's enough, right? I think like for me right now, it's like when I know I don't think I'll ever make it, but it's definitely not right now, right? Like I think like I'm just starting my whole story is just about to start, right? Like it's just I just went through the introduction the first 35 years,
Yeah.
and now we're getting into the body of my life.
Into the exponential.
Yeah, that jump.
Exponential growth.
Yeah.
Because like there's so much more, right? And I think when you have the energy plus the knowledge, it should equal and the experience, it should equal more success. And I think that like that whole all the ingredients to success. I think I have I'm starting to get a good hold of it, and I think for the next level, it might not be financial success either. Like I hope it is,
Mhm.
right? But because with financials, you can help more.
Yep.
Right. And that's kind of like the story with Alfonso, right? He's
Yeah.
like, like, and when I first started, I said, God, like, please give me the ability or the money so I can give it to others. And I think somewhere along the way, I kind of forgot about that. Like, and that's my bad, and I think that's, just life because I didn't think, I thought about just me, I feel, right?
Mhm.
And this is me being honest, is like, I said, God, give it to me so I can give it to others. And I think God goes, you know what? You didn't give it to others.
Mm.
He will take it all away.
Mhm.
Right. That's the way I look
Yeah.
at it. God giveth and he taketh. Right. And I think it's so important. Like, hopefully, I can give you guys that advice that if God does give you the ability or, gives you the opportunity to make more income, make sure you put some away to give to either community or, and we've been doing a lot of that and it's fulfilled my life, right? So I think like right now is just the beginning,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we're about to go up,
Yeah.
right? And being around young guys like you, it's just like, for me it's been like a huge inspiration. Like, I see Amar and I see Justin and I'm just like, damn, like, like it is possible. And I want you guys to know that you can do it. You can do it. Like, you have all the tools. So like, if you don't know it, find out, ask, right? Use your resources, you know and then like, for me, like, let's push the wave, right?
Yeah.
And there, like, what I was saying at the event at IDU, shout out Mike again, he's gonna get some love this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Love you, Mike. Love you, Mike. Big hug. Like, it's just so important, right? So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. So what got you into real estate and opening that avenue into that side of the world?
Yeah, well, the real estate thing, like, you purchase your first home, and like, it, it- at that time, like, so for me, I felt like I was late to the game, um, because I invested in my business first. Like, invested, just like I didn't want to focus on anything else, and I was like, just invest in this business, grow that business, and then naturally you save some dollars up, and you
Mhm.
buy your first home. And I got my first commercial property, which it's a crazy story in itself. But like, for me, I felt like it was obviously a popular investment vehicle, right?
Mhm.
You see, the amount of growth from 2016, like in 2011, when I was here in London, I was looking at duplexes for 120,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, and I remember looking at my budget. I was at that time I was making $14 an hour, and I was like, I don't think I can afford it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even at
Yeah.
120,000,
Yeah.
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine now compared to now, it's like
Crazy,
It seems
bro.
like a dream, right?
It seems like a dream. And so I've always, like, ownership of homes, like, you see the pay down, right? There, you could do a bunch of things. You can force the increase, right? By doing renovations, you can, get good tenants, they pay down your mortgage. And then you get the appreciation just based on, inflation, right? Like
Mhm.
3-4% or whatever that is, right? So it makes sense. And now I think, at this point in my career right now, so I have some real estate, and it's definitely a huge part of the business. I really want to increase the business right now and just focus on growing, my agency, making sure that we're getting to those levels, and then we have sustained growth. And then along the way, we're gonna find some deals for sure,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can close a couple deals together, right?
100%.
But I like the commercial space,
Yeah.
commercial space, multifamily, like for a lot of reasons, right?
Yep.
And just more tenants, it gives you the ability, if you lose a tenant, you can still pay your mortgage if you have more units, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's definitely going to be a part of the growth. But yeah, so there's a lot more to do with the real estate.
Was,
For sure.
yeah. Was there anyone in your circle that like was in real estate like before you got into it that kind of motivated you in any way?
Yeah, like I had buddies growing up, like my buddy Paul Menia in Hamilton. Shout out Paul. He was a real estate agent. I was supposed to be a real estate agent actually, so I probably would have like a lot more money if I like I think I probably would have been very, very successful in the real estate. I mean, who knows, right? But yeah, like there's my buddy. Like there's definitely some influential people that in my life that used real estate, like either apartment buildings, or even single homes. Like for a long time, single homes were pretty amazing to look at, right?
Yeah.
For me, I don't see like a single home as an investment anymore. Like I used to look at that as an investment. I mean, it did help me. Like my first home helped me buy my first commercial property.
Mhm.
I refinanced and bought, put the money, some of the money down for my first commercial property. But I think right now, I think like, I don't think you should look at it as your first property as your home as a full like investment vehicle.
Yeah.
Like it depends. Like but over time, I get it that, but for guys like me, I want more flexibility, right? So that's kind of like the way I look at the single family home now. Like I don't know. That's kind of the way it's going right, or looks like right now.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I definitely realized that after like the Wealth Genius event. It's just like, yeah, single family homes or even like duplexes now. It's like you look at them, it's like it's risky,
It's risky.
very risky.
It's risky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I like, not to take away from people that have those assets, but I think, I think it's getting harder to eat and harder to make money in real estate right now. So you got to get more creative.
Mhm.
Those gains of 30-40%, I don't know if they're going to be around too long. Like, I think you can have modest growth.
Yeah.
Right. But don't expect to buy a house and make 300 grand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if those things are coming back. I mean, they could. I could be totally. I don't know, but I'm not an investment professional, sorry, a real estate investment professional. But the way with the experience that I have is like right now, it's about being creative, and looking for land development, investing in the states,
Mhm.
investing internationally, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those are definitely places where you can make pretty decent gains. But yeah, more to come on that.
Yeah. One hot topic that I think is like popular is as a young person, life insurance.
Yeah.
Right. Could you kind of touch on the importance of that, even if you're young?
Yeah. Life insurance. Amazing question. So life insurance is such an amazing product. Now, like, there's different clientele, right? So if I have a family that, couple just got married, they have a young kid or kids, they're looking at a different policy than like each need is different. Each client has a different need. So there's one policy that it's called term insurance, right? So term insurance, pretty simple how to put it. It's life insurance for a certain amount of time. And after that time, so let's say a 10-year term, and that it's 10 years, it's one price. After the 10 years, it usually increases. And then there's a 15-year term, 20-year term. So that's term insurance.
Are they more expensive the bigger the term?
Yeah.
Okay.
The longer you lock in, the higher the premium. But if you're young, like the young guys out there, get yourself a term policy just to protect your insurability. It's so cheap that it's just gonna better, like, just take the advice from an older guy.
Yeah.
Get that policy just to have. You're gonna need it at some point. And you don't want to get it too late where it starts to get really expensive.
Mhm.
And you can convert it to something called permanent insurance. So there's two types of insurance: term insurance and permanent insurance. So the second one is permanent insurance. So it could be a universal life insurance policy or a whole life insurance plan. So whole life, it has cash values that grow over time. I love to do this with entrepreneurs and corporations, people that own corporations, because they can leverage that cash that goes into that life insurance policy and use it in their business. And that can be used as a write-off, right? The interest that you pay.
Oh, true. Okay.
Right? So that could be capitalized, talk to your accountant, obviously, but like that's usually how you can do it, and you can leverage it. So income, you pay income taxes, right? Income taxes, you boys are going to start making that big money. That's going to be a part of your conversations. You're gonna be like, hold on a second, I paid $40,000 in taxes. Like that's going to suck, right? To realize that. And I love paying my share, but I think sometimes the government doesn't spend our money in the best way.
Yeah.
Right. So what I like to do is make sure that it stays in the family,
Mhm.
right? And we do that through life insurance and through investing.
So is that kind of like giving yourself a loan? Like
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's like you're kind of acting as your own bank.
Yeah.
Right. So you can use your corporation to pay for the policy. It's the beneficiary of the policy. And you take that loan out and you can reinvest it into the business. Right. And you can use it for, either growth in the business. You can use it for pretty much whatever you want. Right. But it's corp dollars.
And it
Right.
compounds at its current rate, right? Now it doesn't
Yeah.
actually depreciate.
No, it doesn't depreciate. So the way that I do it anyways, it's a dividend paying policy. So every year we pay dividend at 6-7%, whatever the dividend is at that point. 6-7%, let's say. Each year it's going to be different, but we pay out a dividend. And once that dividend is paid, it's there. It's not like it goes away, right?
Mhm.
So those types of policies are huge for someone that has a corporation that wants to leverage and take loans are usually good for us as corporations. Right?
So is that like the ideal customer? Like, would this work for anyone else who who doesn't have a corporation?
Yeah, well, yeah, I would say like it would be a different conversation. Like, say if you have RSPs, you have a big estate, a estate that it's gonna, when you pass away, RSPs get taxed as income when you pass away. So even if you die, they say die early in the year, not late in the year, because if you die late in the year, you have a big tax bill. So you always pay taxes, but what gets thrown into your tax bill is your RSP when you pass away. So it gets taxed at, let's say if it's a decent amount, 50-55%, right?
Mhm.
So even if you don't have a corporation, you may want to invest in some whole life insurance or universal life. Depending, each client's going to be different, right?
Yeah.
That's why we sit down with our clients,
Yeah.
and we go, hey, we ask series of questions, and we go, okay, I'm not gonna just either one way or the other. I'm not gonna just do it without asking questions and getting to know who you
It's
are.
like subjective to that individual.
Yeah, like so some plans might make sense for you, won't make sense for you, right?
Yeah.
But the good thing is that I have the experience to kind of line those up to what your needs are. But for me, corporate, I always think about that whole life plan, especially if your corporation has money sitting there, right? You don't want money sitting there.
Yeah.
You want that drives me nuts. Like
Yeah.
it'll drive your accountant nuts too, right? Like your accountant be like, you have that money sitting there. Like, do you not want to retire?
Yeah.
Because no one takes care of you when you have a business.
Yeah.
That's what I always tell my buddies. Like, you don't own a business. If you get sick, if you pass away, no one's there for your family. No one cares, right? You have to take everything everything's in your hands.
Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, we get paid well if we work well. We get good results. But if anything happens, we also get smacked with that stick, right?
Yep.
So we have to be very careful. So that's why I love working with business owners, because they need my advice. And it's good to be needed, right?
Yep.
Like,
Of course, of course.
right? So,
Yeah.
so that whole thing is it, to me, it excites me. It's necessary. There's only so many things that we can do as to avoid tax. It's very limited, right? You have your TFSA, you have RSP, and RSP just pushes that tax bill down the line.
Yep.
Tax-free savings accounts are amazing. Always use those. Make sure that you're topping those up every year. And right now, I think there's $92,000 and the amount that you can invest in your
Mhm.
TFSA if you haven't used it,
Yeah.
depending on how old you're, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so all those things. So it's an amazing policy. It excites me, and yeah, definitely if you have a corporation, it'd probably be a good idea to have a conversation about that. And also critical illness, right? If you have a heart attack, stroke, who's going to take care of you? And if you have a business owner, if you're a business owner, there's no benefits being paid to you unless you pay for them, right?
Yeah.
So, and you do that through a guy like me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And is there any other like insurance products that you think people don't know about that they should start to think about?
I would say critical illness is a big one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, unfortunately, my little nephew right now, he's in the hospital right now. Yeah, they're checking him for bacterial meningitis, I think. I just got an update. That's why my phone's popping.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
my apologies if you guys hear.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, man.
But like, you never know when someone gets sick, right? So you have disability. So there's 3 different types, right? So disability insurance, if you get injured, critical illness, if you get sick, right? Heart attack, stroke, cancer, MS, those types.
Yep.
And then you have life insurance,
Okay.
right? So those are the major things that you kind of think about, right?
Is there a policy that like umbrellas all of those?
Typically you buy them separately, but there's tax advantages to them, right? Like for the disability, you can write that off. It's a write off.
Okay.
So dollar for dollar, and then for critical illness, it's not a write off, but you can do a policy. I can explain to you how it works, but you can get your premiums back after 15 years. So if you don't get sick, you get your premiums back, and then you can. So there's different ways that you can get that paid out to you personally as well.
Yeah.
Talking to your accountant and setting that up properly, but. Yeah, those are the major things. Is that I think the big misconception is between the disability and the critical illness.
Yep.
If you have the only disability and you get a stroke, you're not going to get coverage. Yeah, and we learned that the hard way with my family because my dad had a quadruple bypass at work, and they didn't have critical illness. Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's no coverage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's crazy. And like I don't know like if you agree, but there is like some sort of negative stigma towards insurance.
Yeah.
Like especially like if you're like younger, you know what I mean? You're like, well, I don't need that. So like just hearing you kind of just like emphasize on like the importance of it and like how you're tailoring your advice to like just like insure you to keep you safe.
Yeah.
You never know what's
Insurance
gonna
guys
happen.
get the bad rap, eh?
Yeah,
I know. We get it bad.
Does that bug you at all?
No, you know what, man? Like I think when people spend time with me, and they're like just like anything, like real estate. There's today we were talking about these guys. Fly by night guys that just want your money, and then they take off to in their private jets somewhere in the Caribbean or whatever. Like there's always people that want to sell you just to sell.
Yep.
And then there's advisors that are actually advisors, right? Where they do it based on your needs. And I think people feel that, like when I sit down with someone, I think they feel that, like this guy's not trying to make a buck. Because I mean, like for me, it's like, okay, if it's 60, like I don't know what it's gonna be, but let's say it's like $100 for a policy. Like I'm not gonna screw you over for $300. Like
Yeah.
like it's like for me, like it's just not in my heart to do that. But I think once you start explaining. The need, like why do you need this policy? Why does it make sense for this policy? You kind of think about it too. You go, yeah, it does make sense. Like I kind of do need that, right? Yeah. So you how do you avoid that? Like for me, it's like I do it based on the client. I advise them based on their needs, and then it just makes sense. It's just like a puzzle almost, right?
Yeah,
like their needs, products that I have that makes sense. It's like a perfect puzzle, and then it's like, it makes sense. Okay, let's just get on with the next thing that I have to do with my business, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's very simple, maybe maybe sometimes it can be confusing, but I think as I've done this for 14 years, right?
Mhm.
So I've gotten to a point where it's almost like it's easy, ABC. Clients, I ask the client, I talk to the clients, and they don't even know that I'm asking things that I'm going to need for their
Yeah.
Yeah.
for their policy, right? Their needs analysis, right? So I don't like to like sit there and like write like ask you like I already know what I need,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I ask it throughout like a conversation. So I spend like most of my time is spent getting to know my client.
Yeah.
I know what my products are. Like I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours doing that. So it's pretty easy to like now what I'm missing is the client's needs
Yep.
and who the
Yeah,
client
yeah.
is. And then it's just like it's a match made in heaven every
Yep.
single time.
Yeah.
Right? There's a product for what their needs are.
Yeah.
100%.
Right? So
It's crazy how diverse you have to deal with that one client. Like, like you're insuring like their life, or you're insuring their asset, or you're
Yeah.
insuring like does that ever like get
It's
overwhelming? Like,
you know what? It's a lot of time you have to invest, right? Like because there is a lot, right? Like if you think about it, you're dealing with you're dealing with taxes, right? Like if you're a financial advisor, you're dealing with tax efficiency. Like I want to make sure that we're putting these dollars to work in the most tax efficient way. So it goes further. It goes to your family. Think about setting trust up. I think we talked about trust today a little bit. How do you set those up? You better know your stuff,
yeah.
right? Like you can't just like, and you can't fake it till you make it in this world.
Yeah.
Like in my world, anyways.
Yeah.
Like you can't fake it till you make it because you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
you set up a policy in a different way. You give a client bad advice, and they think you're clueless, and then you never get them back, right? So for me, I had that mentor, Larry Gates. I love you, Larry Gates. Um, very very special a man in my life. Um, he took the time, right? He took the time to sit down with me and just like kept on going through it, kept on going through it. I'm sure at some point he's like, "Does this kid not get it?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
sick to my stomach with this kid. No, but like he took the time to, but also it's a party of two.
Yep.
Right. Like if someone wants to teach, someone needs to want to learn.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't just like ask for help and just be like, yeah, and then they watch you do the work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? You got to get your hands dirty too, and I did, and he did too.
Mhm.
So, like to me, he was the biggest influence in my life. Larry was everything to me. He was my hero. He was everything, and it was just amazing that he took the time. So I invested the time. Like I would literally every time I see him, like I'd have lunch with him probably 3-4 times a week.
Oh wow. Okay.
Right. And I was lucky enough that he was just like down the street from me.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was like, I got like a lot of the attention from him.
Yep.
I could probably mostly because I call him every day.
Yeah.
He's probably like, fine. I know he's gonna.
What's
I know.
this guy want?
Yeah, I know he's gonna keep calling, so I might as
Yeah.
well answer the phone.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to know your product,
Mhm.
know what you're talking about, and invest time. Like I think that's like a huge part of any business. Like if you guys are doing podcasts or you're doing a clean, like know that business inside out. If you're gonna do something, do it right.
Yeah.
Right. Like and do it so that you're the person, just like we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Like the cleaner, right?
Yeah.
Like be the financial advisor, be the insurance professional, be the podcast,
Yeah.
right? Big. So like honestly, and all that takes is passion.
Yeah.
Right. Like I love this business. I love it so much. And it to me, it's like it's kind of like it's weird that someone would love insurance that much, or financial planning, or being a financial advisor that much. But to me, it's like it's given me freedom. It's given me the ability to feel needed. It's given me the ability to give back. So like I owe everything to this business, and I think for a little bit of time, you kind of lose your way a little bit, but I'm so happy that the passion came back,
Mhm.
and now I have the skills, I have and everything's gonna rise. But like it's so important that you invest your time to do something, because you don't want to be that person, right? Like, you show up, you don't know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
you don't feel prepared. Like, that to me is just sad, and something's wrong with that individual. They're either in the wrong business, or something's wrong with them spiritually or physically.
Mhm.
Right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we have to take it down to that level, because, like, the worst thing is a man that doesn't have passion. That's the most dangerous man in the world.
Mhm.
Someone that doesn't have passion or reason.
Uh,
Right? Like, if you don't have a reason, you don't wake up, you're just like, I have something to do today, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. Like, going through your day, like, like, that's, to me, I think, um those are time wasted.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability, like, you have the mental capacity, physical capacity, and if you're not doing it, let's find the reason why, right?
Yeah.
So there's professionals out there to help people, right? Like, if you're stuck out there and you don't know what you want to do in life, find the help,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Don't stay there too long. You could fall, but don't stay down, right?
Mm.
So we do a lot of community work. So we're involved with the community counseling of London, so nonprofit that we work with, which is yeah, shout out to them, because they're doing a lot in the community with uh, providing access to counselors,
Yeah.
right? So, like, for me, like, if, like, I know I'm taking it to the next level, but, like, if you're a young guy and a lot of your people are probably young males,
Yeah.
I'd be guessing,
Yeah.
but females as well. Like, if you feel stuck and you don't have passion in life, something's going on. Either you have to find something that drives you and makes you want to compete and invest
Yeah.
time. Something's going wrong. Like, so if you don't have that, find it. If not, like, find the solution,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and don't feel like it's you. Like, just get going,
Yeah.
right? Try not to waste your 20s, right? Your 20s are a time where you need to get out there and see the world, travel, exercise, um, get to the next level where you are preparing to be a leader in your community,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't have that passion, ask yourself why. Why not? Because you just, like, your family deserves you to be at your best.
100%.
You deserve to be at your best, at least for a short period of time, and see how it goes, right? But, like, so there's access if you don't feel well, like, there's something missing if you're not trying to search for something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And what I love about you, like, the young guys that you like that I've been meeting at IDU and meeting at Welch, it's like, man, like, for you to put that deposit down today, right? Maybe the wife doesn't know yet.
David, cut that.
That mortgage is gonna be late.
Right?
But like, for you to do that, like, I mean, I give you, like, the most, like, solid high five, because, like, you're investing in yourself, you're figuring it out, right? Maybe you're not supposed to. Sorry, I was sorry. Maybe you're not supposed to figure it out by the time you're 30,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm 35, right? I don't have it all figured out. There's still a lot more yet to be desired for me, right? Like, God's giving me passion in a lot of different ways right now.
Yep.
And a lot of it is just being around you guys, right? Like, I have something like, maybe you guys could be useful for you guys, right?
100%.
Right. And for me, like, that's giving me, like, such passion, energy. Like, like, if I ever felt tired, I'll just give one of you guys a call. You know what I mean? And just let's go.
Yeah.
I'll take your young energy.
Yeah. Stop it
Yeah.
from.
Even too, I found, like, even going to these events and, like, hanging out with, like, people like you, it's like, it definitely gave me another drive that I feel like I didn't have. Or it's just like, and now also too, them willing to share it. It's like, I kind of have no excuse to not be successful, or at least push for it.
Yeah. Man, like, because, and that's to me is just so nice to hear. Because, like, a lot of people, and, like, for me, like, talk about influences, right? Like, if your influences are people that aren't, you know, they don't have to be successful, but they need to have to want to be,
Mhm.
right? You know, like maybe stop hanging out with certain people, right? Have your, you know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah.
You know, I used different terminology the last time.
Yeah, the
Don't be
loser, the loser.
I
think it was
you
like-
hang out with 5 years losers, you'll be the 6th.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I think there's a couple F words in there.
Yeah.
Can't do that right now. But yeah, like that's to me is really, really, really big. Especially when you're in these 20 to 30 range. Like you become who you pretty much are going to be for the rest of your life in these ages. Like you start to develop habits, and you start to develop your personality. It's pretty much like it's so important that if you feel like you're like hanging out with people that don't make you feel good, or you don't feel good after hanging out with them or whatever, probably time to start looking at that relationship, right? And you know, it's sometimes hard to let go of certain friends, right? Like, you know, like for me, I definitely, you know, when I was younger, like, you know, you know, teenagers, they fight and stuff like that. As soon as they started fighting, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to the girls. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not really into that, right?
Yeah.
So you know, that was probably the first time I was like, yeah, this is does like, you know, and then you start kind of separating yourself a little bit, and then you, but at this point right now, what I would say for you guys is like, yeah, like, you know, if you feel someone like can give value to your life, you know, you start thinking about being a man and having family and all that kind of stuff. And I never thought I would want a family, but I think that's definitely in the cards for me now. Um, you know, because things become more important in your life. First, my baby was my business, you know, and then I, you know, help raise, you know, my family, and the kids are coming up. There's like, you know, there's passion coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, so definitely just be aware about your surroundings, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and you kind of gauge through your heart.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's a gut feeling, man.
Yeah, it tells
Man,
you.
It's a
if
gut feeling.
yeah, you're just like, you hang out with that person, you're like, man,
Yeah.
or they call you, you're just like, I don't
I don't
answer
want
the
to pick
phone.
up. Yeah.
And you know, I try to just like, you know, be genuinely like of value, but some people just are stuck in that rotating, you know, rat wheel or whatever they call
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, the rat race.
The rat race,
Yeah.
and like, it's just some people just can't seem to get out of their own way sometimes. You know, I would say you limit those relationships as much as you can, right?
Yeah. And then like vice versa with the gut feeling. If you have a gut feeling like a positive one with someone, you know what I mean? Approach it. You know, keep on
Hell
going.
yeah.
You know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah.
Like I said, like when you randomly messaged me at 9:30, like, honestly though, I'm like, I have to go. Like I have to go. Like it's Sammy. And you even said that.
I literally looked at him.
He was with me.
Yeah,
He's-
No way.
Yeah, because like he messaged him and I'm like, he's like, why? I'm like, bro, you're chosen. Do it. Like that opportunity doesn't come to everybody, right? So run with it. Enjoy that experience and like.
See, that's a good friend right there.
Yeah, no, I know. And
Yeah,
and
like that's all. And I wish you would have told me. I would have got you a ticket too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always next time, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we'll make sure we have you out. Yeah, it'll make you a better person. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
But no, like that, like that's my point. It's like you made a big impression on me in the IDU, the first one, right? Like I don't even know if I probably felt like nervous to go introduce myself to you. We didn't really talk that first IDU, like like, you know what I mean? But like that, you made such a good impression on me, and then obviously like, you know, the other event, we get to know one another, and then like, yeah, you invited me to this event. It's like, how the hell am I not gonna go? I had different plans this weekend. You know, honestly though,
I had stuff to do, man.
yeah. No, but then like it comes back to the same thing, and then like putting that deposit down on Wealth Genius, it just comes from that, like knowing you're with the right people who make you feel good, like in your heart, like, you know what I mean? Like and like we said, like when Alfonso was talking to some points where I'm like low key trying to hold back tears, and it's like, yo, like this is real.
Yeah, it gets
You know?
emotional.
Yeah, but that's when you know you're in the right place.
Yeah.
like you're not going home sick, like feeling like, oh, like I should
He
have done
got
that.
me today though.
Oh.
He got me today.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll let you guys, like, if you want to come to the event, just let me know. I'll make sure we either make a special one for whatever group. But man, today he got me. He got me, like, and that's super important, man. Like we're all human, right? So we're looking for these things that just get us going, right?
Yep.
And that guy's got a special gift, right? Like I think he's got something that God gives that little like that little extra gift to certain people, and he got it, man. He got it big time, and I got to give it up to him because he's grown to something that's, like if you hear his story, sorry, if you hear his story, like like, and I don't, I'm not the one to talk about a story because I want you guys to hear from him because I'll botch it up and it just won't do it justice. But like his story is just it's incredible,
It
right?
is, yeah.
And what is the business that he's done? Like I
Mhm.
mean, he's grown this thing into over I think they're going to be at 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Those are 1,000 people that are committing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a commitment. Like
Yeah.
like to invest that like that type of money is for me it was like okay, you need to get to the next level and let's force it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a forced let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how can you put a price on that,
Exactly.
right? And I'm so happy I did it, right?
Yeah.
So
And it just goes back to the whole like consumer mindset and the investor mindset. Like the consumer is gonna like just spend so much time. Oh, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Like I'll maybe do it later one day. When the investor's kind of like, we'll figure it out. Boom. Like
Yeah.
this makes sense. Like it's a lot, but it'll make sense. And then yeah, just believe in yourself, trust in yourself. You know what I mean? That's a
Yeah.
big thing. I feel like a lot of people they neglect that, like trusting themselves, and you
Yeah.
can make it out of things, right? So
I
Yeah.
think sometimes that extra pressure where you kind of like put yourself on the edge and like, I'll figure it out. And you usually do figure it out when you have that pressure on you, right?
hell yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of like just um you're choosing to bet on yourself, man.
Yeah.
Right? And like when you respond to that, I mean, it's just amazing, right? Like when you're actually like you're just like, yeah, I can do it. Like, why not me, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I was saying at the IDU event. It's like, why not you?
Yeah.
Like, why not you? Because sometimes we can be hard on ourselves, and then you kind of get the, you're pumped up one day, the next day you're just like, oh, I don't feel that confident. It's like, why? Like that. Why aren't you confident?
Mhm.
Oh, you didn't prepare. I can change that. Why am I not confident? Oh, I'm not in shape. We can change that.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't I like if you not start asking those questions, change the thing and package it up and just fucking demolish that.
Yeah.
Like you have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's such an important note. Like just like self-correcting yourself or checking on
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Like having that dialect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like a lot of people they don't, or like they just like it doesn't even come to their mind. It's just like, oh, another day. Days are supposed to be like this, and then that ripples into like years of being like that, and then like a lifetime of just
Yep.
being like that.
And then it's
You know what
over.
I mean?
Life's over and you look back and you didn't do anything with it.
That's crazy. Life's over with that. Like, yeah, we did
Yeah.
basically like Alfonso made us like basically do like 3 squares of 25 per square because the average life of a man is 75 years old. He's like, if you're older than 25, scrape the first square. If you're older than 50, scrape the second.
Yeah.
And it just makes you realize like time isn't guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
like you only have X amount of time in this world. You might as well do the most you can with it, right?
100%.
Yeah. Wild. I did that thing 3 times.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
I was doing the math. I'm like, you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm halfway through. If I live
Yeah.
till 70, boys, I'm halfway through my whole life, my existence of this whole life, my
Mhm.
time stamp here. Everything that I've done in this whole world is gone in 35 years if I get so lucky to live to 70. Right?
That's scary to think. Even too, like I started thinking of it like more like summers. Like how many more summers am I gonna have left? How many more like days do we like looking at a full year? If you just look at it, like how many more summers? Just maybe only another 40 summers or so.
Yeah.
And like that's why you gotta cherish those moments so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy your parents, man. Like, and look, when I see that thing, I see my dad's 82. And I go, shit, man. Like, you got to call your parents and just hug your family, man. It's crazy, but that's like I don't want to turn into a a Bible based conversation, but my whole life is that way. I think now, but like I think the time here is really important that we do the best that we can and do the positive ripple effects because truthfully I believe that there is more to this,
Yeah.
right? And this whole life that we go through, I think we will have a judgment, right? And then God's gonna be like, "Yo, did you help that kid when he needed it, or did you? Like I think, I think that's a huge testament, right? I think there's something to that. And even if there's not, right? If there's not, um, I think that's a good way to live,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
right?
What are you
Like,
losing? Like nothing.
you're gaining, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels good, right? Anyways, like when you do something good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel good.
Yeah.
Right?
The one biblical story that always gets me is like when God gave like I think it was the brothers like their talents, and one of them like hid away with their talents, and he came back and he's like, "Oh God, here's all the talents," and the guy basically said like, "Yo, you're supposed to use all them. What are you doing?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like it was honestly the Saturday driving back from the event, the Wealth Genius event, where I was like why like what like why can't I be that person? Why am I not using all the talents that I know God gave me? Why am I not just like fully laying that out? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like then when judgment day comes, he's gonna be like, yo, you're brutal, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I gave you all the talents. You could have done this and that, but you didn't. That's on you.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Yeah. And I think, by doing all these events, like it you see other people using their talents, right? And then you go, "Oh, I got that."
Yeah.
Like when I see Alfonso, I got a little bit of that, If I can get just a little bit of that success, right? Because I have a little bit of that.
Yep.
You see some people putting those to work, and it's like, I can do that a little bit. Maybe not 100% what he's doing, but I could do it
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah.
How sick if I just use 50% of that talent? Maybe I can get to 70%.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? Like that's actually a really good point, because like if you start seeing people use their talents,
Mhm.
you're just like, oh, I can do that, right? Like I could probably do that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's just leveling up, and you see people using their talent. You're just like, yeah, you see where
Yeah.
you can
And but like it's funny because like
that's crazy, eh?
I feel like for them to get to that talent, they have to go through like that uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for example, like being a master negotiator, that means you have to be on the call for so many phone calls, right? And a lot of people shy away from that, but it's like you want to grow that talent, you gotta go through the mud and the repetition and the
Yeah.
boring shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Get the
Yeah.
reps in.
get the
Yeah.
reps in.
Yeah, get the reps in, man, and like don't compare to like your life to someone's highlights, right? That's a big thing too with like social media and stuff. Like especially when you see these guys like buying like a fancy car,
Yeah.
and they have like boats and these girls in the boats.
Yeah.
You're just like, man, I wish I was like that, right? But I think like you got to make sure that you're honing your skills within yourself and your happiness. Like you could be a lot more happier than that person, right? Like as long as you're doing the best you can, right?
Yeah.
And I think just do a little bit the best you can, and then you eventually get these results, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I think that's why we go to these events, because you start seeing people's results, and you're just like, oh, okay, I can do this, and you have a little bit more faith in yourself.
Yeah. Do you think that you as a child or you as a little kid, do you think that kid is proud of who you are right now?
I think he's starting to, right? Like I think like that's a really good question, man. And yeah, I think he's starting to, and I think I'm starting to, right? I think that's a really good question, and it's a deep question, right? Because you have to be honest when you answer that question, right? Because if you just like, if I just give you like, yeah, you'd be, but like, I think truthfully, I'm on my way, and that's good enough right now,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I think if I'm on my way, that's something to be proud of. And then again, you're not going to be on your way all the time. Just try it every day to like get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we try so hard. Like for me, I'll be hard on myself. And then some days I go, dude, like you got up today. You know what I mean? Like you got to, like some people getting out of bed is like a win.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like, for me, I think that's like, little steps, right? Like I tell my buddies all the time, I'm like, little steps, man. You know what I mean? Like Rome wasn't built one day. If there were Mexicans in Rome, they would have.
Yeah, it would have been done quick like this.
But yeah, Rome wasn't built in one day. So take steps forward, and progress is happiness to me. Like you're getting there, right?
Yeah.
And like love yourself, right? Like another thing is like self-love, right? Like that was a hard one for me when I was like, going on, because I was like, I never felt like anything that I achieved would ever be enough. And that, like, to me, that's probably why I was successful, because like I just, kept pushing. But then you don't get happiness out of that result, right? And just loving yourself, just know that you deserve.
It's a tough balance.
It's a tough balance, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like to love yourself, but then also to like feel like you can do more. And
yeah,
then like you self sabotage. I can do better. I need to do better. I need to do more. But then it's like you gotta love yourself.
yeah.
It's a dance.
Yeah, it's a dance. It's a crazy dance, right? Because you can't just be like, "Oh, love yourself," and then you're not
Yeah.
accomplishing, and you're okay with that. Like, some people are, I guess. Like, some people could find. I truthfully believe that God, like, put us on this planet to better ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He gave us a way to live, and I think that that's kind of like, maybe that's why we're here. Like, we're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to try to get to there.
Yeah.
To, to try your best, to do your best.
Yeah. I think Jordan Peterson says it the best. It's like you want to have one leg planted in chaos and then one leg planted in order. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like you love yourself, you have your things organized, like you're trying your best, but then also in the chaos and like you're exploring new things, you're trying to start a new business or grow your business. Like it's like you gotta have both. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's why there's a God and that's why there's a devil.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to say,
Yeah.
but you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super interesting, man.
It's super interesting, man. And like, I think there's a lot to talk about, really. Like, like, there's levels to everything, right? But like, enjoy the steps, right?
Yeah.
Because, man, I'm 35 years old. Like, if I look at that thing, I could be halfway through,
Yeah.
right? And then you go, how did I live my life in those years? You start to reflect. Like, on the way home, I was like reflecting. I was like, I think, I think I've done the best that I could, you know, like, honestly, I think I've done what I could. There's times I could have done more. Um, but I think I've done what I could. I could have done better. There's an understanding there for myself,
Yeah.
right? Um, and I think there's more. There's a lot more to come. I think the best is yet to come, and that's exciting to me.
Right.
Yeah. But I love how you're being so real about it. You know what I mean? Because like I said, like you're someone I look up to. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like you're not faking it, being like, oh yes, like you're being real with yourself. And
Yeah.
I think that actually like I don't know, it kind of like makes me respect you more.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's
Thank you.
yeah, it's very cool, man. I really respect that straight up.
Thank you.
And I think it's like that honesty of like knowing yourself, because like you could have just been like, yeah, I'm crushing it, but then you thought back like, am I doing everything I could? I tried my hardest, but there's still more I can achieve, which is like,
Yeah.
And for people who don't know him, like you are crushing it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's-
no, but that's the crazy
Yeah,
thing
right?
is you are crushing it. Like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
like,
it's-
you want to talk about numbers? We're like,
Yeah,
but you know
everything.
what I mean though?
Yeah.
Like, but so for you to be so real and also like to like society, like you're in the top percentile for real, like of people,
Yeah.
right? Who are just trying to make a living for themselves. So it's just like a very special conversation.
Mhm.
Like
It,
throughout.
it is, boys. And I think, as we go along, like, this is just the beginning, right? Again, like, I'm looking to steal some of that young energy from you. and like, let's take it to the next level. Like, I want to see you guys. We committed to some goals,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
did too. Like, we have to hit those goals, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, at least let's strive to that, right? And I think, Coca, I think for you, like, I think it's important that we get those goals established
100%.
and keep each other, accountable, right?
Mm.
And like, I don't know who said this, but probably a million people have said this. It's the goal. The goals are awesome. It's the man that you have to become to hit those goals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's like, damn, is that true? Right. Like,
Right.
doing stuff that you don't want to do just because you have to do them, but you do them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the man that person has to become to hit those goals. I think that's where the shining is.
Mhm.
Like, that's where the gold is, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is like, so we have some goals. So in the notepad thing that he gave us, we had these goals that we had to do. So it was like, for me, it was like, I want to grow my business up to a certain level.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, for me, like, sometimes you're just like, sometimes, things seem impossible, but then you find new ways.
Mhm.
right? To do certain things, right? And then everything that was impossible the way you were doing it, maybe it was impossible because you were doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impossible because you were doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And then when you find that, you can break off and go to the next level and get to those numbers. Like I remember when I first started in the business, I used to see like certain agents that had these certain numbers, right? And I was like, how the hell is that even possible?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? And then you start writing those like, you get bigger clients, and then you start getting close to those numbers, and you're like, oh shoot, it is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was impossible because you haven't invested the time, you invest knowledge, you know, and it becomes possible.
Mhm.
The impossible becomes possible because you start to figure out new ways,
Yeah.
right?
The mindset, right?
It's-
The
it's-
mindset shift.
Yeah.
I forget. It's like that. There's like a time, the running time, and it took once one person did it. I think 5 other people did it right
That's
after.
it.
So it's like kind of
Yeah.
So it just takes one person to like lead the charge, and then anything's possible.
There was never a mile that was completed in 4 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
that's what
I wrote that name down and I forgot it. I was like, I have it in my head.
Yeah.
The 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That's crazy. But I guess what are some, like, in the next 5 years, like, where do you see yourself? Like, where
Yeah.
do you see your business and your real estate portfolio and all that?
Yeah. So like in the next 5 years, I think we're gonna really take off. I think this year is gonna be the biggest breaking point. Like we're gonna see some exponential growth. So in probably 5 years, like I don't really like to talk about numbers really, but I expect to be a leader, like a bigger leader in the community,
Mhm.
where I'm taking advisors, either advisors, and then helping them you know, get to the levels that I'm at now,
Yeah.
right? And if I can produce success, then everything's gonna work out. But I kind of have I haven't jotted down the numbers,
Mhm.
but I think for me in the next 5 years, I'll probably it'd be nice to have 25, 30 staff or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where like I think I'd like to bring it. To have more staff, change more people's lives, and probably do something like what like Alfonso's doing,
Yeah.
and a different end because it won't be real estate based,
Mm.
but it'd be like self development based. Kind of like I always loved Tony Robbins for some
Yeah.
reason. That guy just like I seen him on Shallow Hal. Remember that movie? And
No, I haven't, no.
he's in one of the scenes, and he changes his mindset so he sees girls like through the inside, not the
Oh,
outside.
Mm.
And that's kind of like how he gets it. That's how like the whole basis of the movie
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And I was like, who is that guy? And it turns out it was Tony Robbins from Shallow Hal. And I was like, so I looked into this guy, Tony Robbins, he's got these, he's been in the game for many years, and he was like so young. I think he was like 18, 19. Started making more than $1 million when he was like young. And he was actually, I believe he was working for Jim Rohn, which is my favorite guy. My favorite speaker or self development guru or coach would be like Jim Rohn. I love that guy. He passed away years ago, but he's just amazing. His stuff stands true to today, and I just really connect with it. But like I started looking at Tony Robbins, it's like something like along those lines where you're like changing people's lives,
Yeah.
and you're just like, okay, you're not like like self development. You're not doing this like let's figure out why
Mhm.
and let's hit these goals. You can't like what I mean, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like a business coach, maybe something like
yeah.
along those lines. So I'd like to explore more of that going. But that's I feel like my business and everything, it just all's gonna it's growing like that, just from just helping people more,
Yeah.
and just getting around people that need advice. It just like it seems like it just always goes towards self-development,
Yeah.
and not and like I guess like financial, like how you set up yourself financially is a part of growth
Yeah.
as well, like personal growth as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Right, like it as much as we want to say, oh, I want to just be happy, well, financially you have to be happy as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's really cool that I can do both,
Yeah.
and help people get their businesses to the next level, and help them do that by being their financial advisor and being their insurance advisor
Yeah.
to protect their assets, protect them, and help grow their wealth.
What's crazy is you asked earlier in the podcast, what's your dream job? And you said, I've always wanted to be like Tony Robbins. And now that we're circling at the near the end of this podcast, in 5 years, you're saying you're gonna do that.
Yeah,
So
literally.
no, but I love that though, because like it just goes to show like you're aligned with the same like little kid wish, and I find like when you're a little kid, you're so innocent that you're thinking about stuff that you truly are meant to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just really cool to hear you be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like in 5 years, I
Yeah.
want to be giving back. Like
Yeah, and honestly, like I feel like it's just leaning towards that on its own,
Mhm.
and and I think that was like the thing that was missing in my life was honestly being around people that need me,
Mhm.
right? Like people that I can help,
yeah,
right? Like I can assist, and I think that was a missing piece for a long period of time. And I think now that I've gotten to that point, now we can explode in business, explode in many areas in life, financially, and all that kind of stuff. Like for me, I think that's kind of the financial gain is something that just happens when you are doing the right things,
100%.
right? Like you're doing business, you're learning, you're investing the time, then money comes.
Yeah.
Right? Money doesn't come first usually. Like it does, but then usually they lose it.
Mhm.
Right? Like we have to like we get to that point and then we do the right things for a long period of time and then money just comes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like for me, like I was like the financial like I would have told you number, like I would have been like, I want because I do have units that I want and I do have financial income that I want that I've written down, but I don't think that's helpful.
Mhm.
Right? But like I think what's helpful is becoming the person that deserves that money. And that's the goal. Get to the person that deserves that money,
Yeah.
and then the money will come.
Yeah.
It's just the way it works. The universe pays people that deserve it.
Yep.
yeah,
Right?
true.
Like if you earn it and you deserve it, usually you get that reimbursement
Yeah,
through your sacrifices every damn day. Show up. Right? So I think that's the biggest thing is like get to that place first, and the financial thing will come. I have those goals, and I can share them off screen with you. But like I think that's that's the goal is just to be that person that is deserving of that,
yeah,
deserving of that success.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just be like for me, like right now, it's just like I get that energy by hanging out with
Yeah.
people that need me.
And for anyone who does need you, how can they reach out to you for your services or anything like that?
So you can reach me. So I got. So I'll give you you can put my Instagram.
Yeah.
We'll plug you in.
Yeah, but you can give me a call on my cell, 905-978-1721, 905-978-1721. And my email address will be in the details as well. So
Yeah, awesome.
yeah, man, what a pot! I had a great time.
Honestly, us
Thank you
too.
so much.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
blowing my
And
expectations.
thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us there. And like I don't know how long we've been. It's probably been
Probably
way
hour
over
and
an
a half
hour.
easily.
Yeah.
But even
Yeah.
too, thank you for just sharing your story and like allowing other people to hear. Like honestly, we're fortunate enough that we actually get to spend time with you and like have you in our circle. But I'm happy that other people get to experience it also.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, bro.
Well, thanks, bro. And like for those who actually watch the whole podcast, thank you so much for tuning in and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we're continuing to bring you more better content every single day. So cheers.
Cheers.
Peace.